You don't have an organization problem. You have a too much problem. Too many tasks, too many things, too many decisions draining your energy before noon. And no planner, no app, no color-coded system is going to fix that. Because the real issue isn't how you organize, it's how much you're trying to organize. These 11 minimalist habits change the way I run my entire life. Let me describe your morning and tell me if this sounds familiar. You wake up. It's early, maybe 6, maybe 7. Doesn't matter. Before your feet even touch the floor, your hand is already reaching for your phone. And the moment that screen lights up, it hits you. 30-something notifications, emails from work, a group chat that blew up overnight, a reminder about something you were supposed to do yesterday, a news alert about something you didn't ask to know about. And just like that, before you've taken a single breath with intention, your brain is already reacting, already processing, already behind. You get out of bed, and now you need to get dressed. Simple enough, right? Except your closet is full. I mean, genuinely full. Clothes on hangers, clothes folded in drawers, clothes draped over that chair in the corner that stopped being a chair a long time ago. But somehow, you stand there staring at all of it thinking, I have nothing to wear. So you spend 10, maybe 15 minutes pulling things out, putting things back, settling on something you don't even really like. And now you've burned mental energy on something that, in the grand scheme of your day, doesn't matter at all. You sit down to work. Maybe it's an office, maybe it's your kitchen table, maybe it's a desk in the corner of your bedroom. Doesn't matter. You open your laptop, and there they are, 12 browser tabs from yesterday, 4 half-started projects, a notes app with ideas you jotted down 3 months ago that you never came back to. Your to-do list is open, and it's long, really long. So long that you don't even know where to start. So you do what feels productive but isn't. You start scrolling. You check email. You reorganize the list. You watch a quick video. And before you know it, 45 minutes have passed and you haven't done a single thing that actually matters. And it's not just work, it's everything. Your kitchen counter has a pile of mail you haven't opened. Your phone has apps you haven't used in 6 months but never deleted. Your calendar is packed so tight that if one thing runs 5 minutes late, the whole day collapses. You've got subscriptions you forgot you signed up for still quietly draining your bank account. You've got projects you started with excitement that now just sit there, unfinished, making you feel guilty every time you think about them. And here's the part that really gets under your skin. You've tried to fix this. Multiple times. You've bought the planner, the fancy one, the one with the goal-setting pages and the weekly reviews and the motivational quotes at the bottom of every page. You used it for 9 days. Then it became another object on your desk that you felt bad about ignoring. You've downloaded the productivity apps, task managers, habit trackers, Pomodoro timers, calendar syncing tools. You set them all up on a Sunday afternoon, felt incredibly productive for doing it, and by the following Friday, you'd gone back to keeping everything in your head. You've watched the YouTube videos, you've read the blog posts, you've tried time blocking, the Eisenhower matrix, the 2-minute rule, the eat the frog method. And every single time, it works. For a few days. Maybe a week if you're really disciplined. And then, you're right back where you started. Except now you're not just overwhelmed. You're overwhelmed and disappointed in yourself. Because after all that effort, after all those systems and tools and fresh starts, you're still stuck. And you start to believe something that isn't true. You start thinking, maybe I'm just not a disciplined person. Maybe this is who I am. Maybe some people are just built for organization, and I'm not one of them. I need you to hear me on this. That is not true. It is not you. What you're experiencing has a name. Researchers call it decision fatigue. The idea that your ability to make good decisions deteriorates the more decisions you make. And studies suggest the average adult faces roughly 35,000 decisions a day. 35,000. What to eat, what to wear, which email to answer first, what to prioritize, what to cook for dinner, Whether to reply to that message now or later, which route to take, whether that purchase is worth it. Your brain is making micro choices constantly, all day long, from the moment you wake up to the moment you collapse into bed. And each one of those decisions, even the tiny, meaningless ones, chips away at your mental energy. So by the time you need to make decisions that actually matter about your career, your finances, your health, your relationships, you're running on empty. You're not lazy, you're not undisciplined, you're depleted. Your willpower isn't weak, it's just being spread across way too many things that shouldn't require your willpower in the first place. And I'm not saying this from some theoretical perch, I'm saying this because I lived it. For years. I was the king of false starts. 3 different planners in 1 year, none of them finished. A phone with 80-something apps, half of which I couldn't even remember downloading. A to-do list so long it gave me anxiety just opening it. I would spend entire Sunday evenings getting organized, cleaning my desk, setting up my week, writing out these ambitious plans, and by Wednesday, every single bit of it would be abandoned. Not because I didn't care, because I cared too much about too many things at the same time. I was drowning, not in water, in stuff, in tasks, in decisions, in the constant noise of a life that had way too many moving pieces. So if that's where you are right now, if you're buried under the weight of everything you think you should be managing, everything you think you should be doing, everything you think you should have figured out by now, I get it. I've been exactly there, exactly. But I also know something else. It doesn't have to stay like this, and it won't. Let me tell you what life looks like on the other side. And I'm not going to sell you some fantasy where you turn into a monk living in an empty apartment with 1 spoon and a meditation cushion. That's not what this is. That's not what minimalism is. What I'm going to describe is real. It's my life. It could be yours. You wake up, and instead of being ambushed by your phone, you check it on your terms. The notifications that used to flood your screen, most of them are gone. Not because you deleted every app, but because you decided that only the things that genuinely matter get to interrupt your morning. So instead of starting the day in reactive mode, scrambling to respond to everyone else's agenda, you start it in your own headspace. Calm, clear, intentional. You sit down, and you know exactly what matters today. Not 17 things, 3. 3 priorities that actually move the needle. And because there are only 3, they don't feel overwhelming. They feel achievable. So, you do them. You actually do them. And by early afternoon, you're done. Not done for now, not done, but I should be doing more, genuinely done with what matters. And that feeling, finishing the things that actually count, is something most perpetually busy people haven't experienced in so long they've forgotten what it's like. You open your closet, and instead of 50 things you kind of tolerate, there are 15 things you genuinely like. Getting dressed takes 2 minutes. There's no decision paralysis, no outfit anxiety, no standing there in a towel wondering why you own so much and enjoy so little of it. It's just simple. And that simplicity gives you back something you didn't realize you were losing: energy, mental bandwidth, space to think about things that actually matter. Your money stops being this vague, stressful mystery that you avoid looking at. Not because you became a financial genius overnight, but because you simplified your finances enough to actually see what's happening. 1 account for bills, 1 for savings, 1 for daily spending. Subscriptions trimmed down to what you actually use. Impulse purchases practically eliminated because you built in a pause before every buy. And for the first time in a long time, you feel like you're in control of your money instead of the other way around. Your weekends feel like weekends again. Not 2 days of frantically catching up on everything that fell through the cracks during the week. Actual rest. Actual enjoyment. Because when your week is structured around what matters and you've cut the excess, there's less mess to clean up, less chaos to recover from, less guilt about things you didn't get to. Here's where I am today. I manage my entire week with 3 priorities per day. My Sunday reset takes about 45 minutes, and it sets up my whole week. I haven't impulse bought something I regretted in over a year. I keep no more than 2 major projects active at any given time. My phone has about 20 apps on it, and I could tell you what each one is for. I'm not some productivity guru living in a minimalist showroom. I'm just someone who stopped adding and started subtracting. And the difference, honestly, the difference is not subtle. When I compare where I am now to where I was 2 years ago, it feels like a different life. Same person, same job, same city. But the noise is gone. And without the noise, I can finally think. I can finally breathe. I can finally enjoy the things I have instead of constantly chasing the things I don't. And that's what minimalism actually is. It's not about having less for the sake of having less. It's about having clarity. It's about creating enough space, mental, physical, financial, emotional, to actually live your life instead of just managing it. Now, if all of that is possible, and I promise you it is, the question becomes, why aren't more people getting there? If the after is this good, what's keeping most people stuck in the before? Here's what nobody tells you about getting organized. The biggest obstacle isn't laziness. It's not a lack of willpower or discipline. It's not that you need the right app or the right system or the right YouTube video giving you the right hack. The biggest obstacle is that you keep trying to organize the chaos instead of eliminating the chaos. Think about what happens every single time you feel overwhelmed. You add something. You download a new tool. You buy a new planner. You create a new system. You add a new layer of structure on top of a life that already has too many layers. And you never, not once, stop and ask, what if the problem isn't that I need a better way to manage all of this? What if the problem is that I have too much to manage in the first place? That's the first mistake, and it's the most common one. You're playing Tetris with your life, trying to fit more and more pieces into the same space, getting faster and more creative about how you stack them. But you never question whether you have too many pieces on the board. The second mistake is treating every task, every commitment, every input as equally important. You put reply to that email on the same mental shelf as work on the project that could change your career. So you spend your best morning hours, when your brain is sharpest, when your decision-making ability is at its peak, clearing out busy work, responding to things, handling admin, checking boxes that feel productive but aren't. And by the time you get to the thing that actually matters, you're mentally spent. You've burned your best energy on the lowest value work, and the important stuff? It gets pushed to tomorrow. Again. And the third mistake, and this is the one that kept me personally stuck the longest, is believing that you need to feel ready before you start. You think you need the perfect system, the perfect plan, the perfect Monday morning to begin. You tell yourself you'll get organized once things calm down. But things never calm down, do they? There's always another deadline, another obligation, another fire to put out. So you wait. And while you wait, the clutter grows. The to-do list gets longer. The overwhelm gets heavier. And the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels wider every single day. I lived in that loop for years. And I mean years. I would discover a new productivity method, get genuinely excited about it, spend a weekend setting it all up, and truly believe, in my bones believe, that this was the one. This was the system that would finally fix everything. And every single time, within a week, maybe 2, I was back in the exact same mess. Same overwhelm, same chaos, same guilt, because I kept treating the symptoms, the messy desk, the overloaded calendar, the endless to-do list, instead of the cause. And the cause, every time, was the same. I simply had too much. Too many commitments, too many possessions, too many inputs, too many yeses to things that should have been no's. And this isn't just a feeling, it's measurable. Research from UCLA found a direct link between cluttered home environments and elevated cortisol levels. That's your body's primary stress hormone. People who described their spaces as cluttered showed stress patterns associated with negative health outcomes. Another study from Princeton found that visual clutter in your environment competes directly with your brain's ability to focus, literally reducing your capacity to concentrate on the task in front of you. And research on impulse buying shows that the average person spends over $280 a month on unplanned purchases. That's more than $3,300 a year being drained by decisions you didn't even consciously make. So it's not just that excess feels bad. Excess is actively working against you, biologically, cognitively, financially. And you can't organize your way out of that. You can't add another system on top of the problem and expect the problem to go away. You have to subtract. You have to remove. You have to go in the opposite direction from what every instinct is telling you to do. And that realization, that shift, is exactly what changed everything for me. And that shift, going from adding more systems to subtracting what doesn't serve you, is exactly what I had to learn the hard way. Through trial and error, through years of failed planners and abandoned apps and fresh starts that went nowhere. But here's something I also learned along the way. Your thinking doesn't change just by cleaning your desk. It changes when your mind is sharper. When you can process information faster, focus longer, and make decisions without that mental fog dragging everything down. That's exactly why I put together the Sharp Mind Blueprint. 7 evidence-based systems to think clearer, faster, and sharper. It's not another productivity hack. It's the mental foundation that makes everything I'm about to teach you actually stick. Because you can have the best habits in the world, but if your brain is running on fumes, none of it holds. The link is in the description. Check it out. It might be the missing piece you've been looking for. Now let me tell you exactly what this shift looks like in practice. Stop trying to manage more. Start choosing less. That's the whole thing. On the surface, it sounds almost too simple. Like something you'd see on a motivational poster in a dentist's waiting room. But in practice, in the way it actually changes your daily life, it's the most powerful reframe I've ever experienced. Here's why. Most of us were raised with this belief that productivity equals volume, that being organized means finding a smarter way to do more things. So we optimize, we hack, we stack systems on top of each other, and we never question whether the sheer amount of stuff we're trying to manage is the real problem. The minimalist shift asks a different question. Instead of, how do I fit all of this in? You ask, what actually deserves to be here? And the moment you start asking that question with genuine honesty, the answers become obvious. Half of the things on your to-do list don't actually need to be there. Half of the clothes in your closet haven't been worn in a year. Half of the notifications on your phone exist only because you never turned them off. Half of the commitments on your calendar were yeses that should have been nos. Yeses driven by guilt, by habit, by the fear of missing out, by the inability to say, no, that's not for me right now. The problem was never that you couldn't keep up. The problem was that you were trying to keep up with things that shouldn't have been there in the first place. And once you remove them, what's left isn't scarcity, it's clarity. I remember the exact moment this clicked. It was a Sunday night. I was doing my weekly planning, or trying to, and I had written down 17 tasks for Monday. 17 things I supposedly needed to do in a single day. And I sat there, staring at that list, and a thought hit me with absolute clarity. Even if I worked from 6 in the morning until midnight, I could not physically finish all of this. So what is this list actually for? Who am I performing this productivity for? And something shifted. I picked up my pen and I crossed out 14 of those 17 tasks. Not moved to Tuesday, not rescheduled for later in the week. Crossed out, gone. Some I delegated. Some I realized weren't actually important. They just felt important because they'd been sitting on a list for so long that their presence alone created a sense of urgency. And I was left with 3 things. 3 real, meaningful priorities that would actually move my life forward. Monday came. I finished all 3 by 2 in the afternoon, and I sat there, and I felt something I hadn't felt in months, maybe years. I felt done. Not done for now, not done but I really should be doing more. Just done. Complete. At peace with the day. That's the power of less. It doesn't just organize your schedule, it organizes your mind. It organizes your emotions. It organizes your entire relationship with your own time. So here's how you actually live this out. 11 habits, practical, specific, things I do every single week. The invisible cut. Go through your life and remove at least 20% of the excess. Everything counts. Clothes you don't wear, apps you don't open, notifications you don't need, subscriptions you forgot about, commitments that drain more than they give. I started by deleting 40 apps from my phone and unfollowing 300 accounts on social media. It took one afternoon. It changed my daily experience completely. Not because those apps were evil, but because every single one of them was a tiny source of noise. And when you remove 300 tiny sources of noise, the silence is deafening, in the best possible way. You don't realize how much background static you've been carrying until it's gone. The 3-priority rule. Every morning, before anything else, pick 3 tasks that actually matter. Not 10, not a top 5. 3. If you finish those 3 things, your day was a success. Period. Everything else is bonus. This single rule eliminated more daily stress from my life than any tool, app, or system I ever tried. Because when you only have 3 things to focus on, you actually focus. You don't scatter. You don't bounce between 14 open loops wondering which one deserves your attention. You just do the work. And more importantly, you finish the work. The not-to-do list. Everyone talks about what you should do. Nobody talks about what you should stop doing. So write it down. Make it explicit. I will not check email before 10 a.m. I will not argue with strangers on the internet. I will not shop online when I'm bored or stressed. I will not say yes to meetings that could be an email. I will not scroll social media during work hours. Knowing what you won't do is just as powerful, maybe more powerful, than knowing what you will. Because every no protects the energy you need for your yeses. Every boundary you set is a wall between you and the noise. Organize your money like you organize your closet. Strip it down. Simplify. You don't need 12 different subscriptions bleeding out of your account every month. You don't need 4 credit cards with 4 different reward systems that you don't actually track. Consolidate. Automate what you can. Set up one account for fixed expenses, one for savings, one for daily spending. Even if you're starting with almost nothing, especially if you're starting with almost nothing, simplicity is how you gain control. When I did this, it took me one afternoon to set up the accounts and one Sunday to cancel the subscriptions I wasn't using. 11 subscriptions. I was paying for 11 things I barely used. My financial stress dropped noticeably within a month. Not because I was earning more, but because I could finally see what was happening with my money instead of avoiding it. White space on your calendar. This one sounds counterintuitive if you're a busy person, but hear me out. Stop filling every single hour. Leave gaps intentionally. Block time that is specifically for nothing. No meetings, no calls, no tasks. Just open space. Because if your schedule has 0 margin, you have 0 capacity for the unexpected. And the unexpected always comes. A project runs late. A conversation goes longer than planned. Your car breaks down. You get sick. Life is unpredictable, and when something unpredictable happens in a schedule that's packed wall to wall, everything collapses like dominoes. But if you've built-in breathing room, even 30 minutes a day, you can absorb the disruption without derailing your whole week. I started blocking nothing time on my calendar, and it sounds ridiculous, I know, but that buffer is where my best thinking happens, where actual rest lives, where creative ideas show up, where I have space to be a human being instead of a task completion machine running down a checklist. The weekly reset ritual. Once a week, I do mine Sunday evening, but pick whatever works for you. Sit down for 30 to 45 minutes and reset everything. Review your goals. Are they still the right goals? Clear your inbox to 0 or as close as you can get. Clean your physical space, desk, kitchen counter, wherever the week's debris has accumulated. Organize your week ahead. Take honest stock of what worked last week and what didn't. Think of it as defragmenting your brain. Without this ritual, small messes compound silently. Monday's leftover tasks pile onto Tuesdays, which spill into Wednesdays, and by Friday, you're staring at a disaster you can't even trace back to a source. With the weekly reset, you catch the drift before it becomes a crisis. You start every single week with a clean slate, clear priorities, and the quiet confidence that you're ahead instead of behind. 45 minutes. That's all it takes to run an entirely different week. The 48-hour rule for purchases. This one is simple, but devastatingly effective. Before you buy anything that isn't an immediate necessity, groceries, medicine, a genuine emergency, wait 48 hours. Don't buy it right then. Don't add it to your cart just to save it. Write it down on a list, put your phone away, and come back to it in 2 days. Research on consumer behavior shows that introducing a cooling-off period can reduce impulse purchases by over 30%. Some researchers have found even higher numbers for online shopping specifically, where everything, the design, the countdown timers, the only 3 left in stock warnings, is engineered to make you buy before you think. I can't tell you how many things I was absolutely certain I needed, convinced, fully committed, mentally already owning the thing, that I completely forgot about 48 hours later. This one habit alone has saved me more money than any budgeting app I ever tried. And here's the part that surprised me most. I didn't feel deprived. Not once. I didn't feel like I was missing out or denying myself. I felt free, because I stopped accumulating things that didn't add anything real to my life. And that freedom, the freedom from wanting, is worth more than anything I could have bought. Limit your simultaneous projects. No more than 2 major projects at the same time. That's the cap. 2. When you spread yourself across 4 or 5 or 6 big things simultaneously, none of them get your best thinking, your best effort, your best creative energy. You end up making shallow progress on everything and deep, meaningful progress on nothing. When I dropped from 4 active projects to 2, the quality of what I produced went up dramatically. And more importantly, this was the real shift, I actually finished things. I completed them, shipped them, crossed them off permanently. That feeling, the feeling of genuine completion, of something being fully done, is something most chronically busy people haven't experienced in so long they've forgotten it exists. When you're juggling 6 things, nothing ever feels finished. When you're focused on 2, everything feels possible. Simplify your small decisions. Standardize the things that don't matter so you can protect your mental energy for the things that do. Eat the same breakfast every day, or rotate between 2 or 3 simple options you enjoy. Have a default outfit formula. Not the exact same shirt every day, necessarily, but a template that works so you're not making creative decisions at 7 in the morning when your brain has better things to process. Set fixed times for recurring tasks, laundry on Saturday mornings, groceries on Sunday afternoon, email at 10 and 4, exercise at 6. Every single micro-decision you eliminate from your day frees up cognitive capacity for the decisions that actually shape your life. There's a well-documented reason Obama talked about limiting his wardrobe choices during his presidency. He understood something most people never grasp, that attention is a finite resource, and every trivial choice you make throughout the day costs some of it. You might not notice the cost of any single decision, but you absolutely feel the cumulative weight of hundreds of them by the time evening rolls around and you can't even decide what to eat for dinner. The information detox. Set hard, non-negotiable limits on how much content you consume and when you consume it. I stopped watching the news first thing in the morning. That was one of the best decisions I ever made. I turned off every notification that isn't from a real person who actually matters to me. I gave myself 1 hour per day, total, for social media, and I stick to it with a timer. The amount of mental clarity I gained just from reducing my information intake was genuinely shocking. I didn't realize how much noise I was carrying around in my head until I turned it off and experienced the silence. Your brain was not designed to process the volume of information that modern life throws at it every single day. We evolved to handle a village worth of news and relationships, not a planet's worth. Every article, every scroll, every push notification, every breaking news banner is another demand on your cognitive resources, another tiny tax on your ability to think clearly. Give your brain a break. Protect its bandwidth. It will repay you with focus, energy, and clarity you forgot you were capable of. One goal per phase. This is the last one, and it might be the most important. Stop trying to overhaul everything about your life simultaneously. Stop trying to fix your finances and lose 20 pounds and get a promotion and learn a new language and improve your relationship and start a side project and read 30 books this year, all at the same time. That's not ambition. That's chaos wearing ambition's mask. Pick one area of your life. 1. Go deep on it for 60 to 90 days. Make real, measurable, undeniable progress. Then, and only then, shift your primary focus to the next thing. Sequential focus beats scattered effort every single time, without exception, in every domain of life. When I decided to focus exclusively on my finances for a single quarter, just finances, nothing else as my big project, I made more progress in those 90 days than I had in the previous 2 full years of working on everything. Because I wasn't diluted across 6 goals. I wasn't splitting my attention. I was all in on one thing. And one thing at a time, done well and done fully, is how lasting change actually happens. Now, in the beginning, you're going to stumble with some of these. I want to be upfront about that. I definitely stumbled. I'd set 3 priorities and then sneak in a 4th and a 5th because they'll only take a minute. I'd commit to the 48-hour rule and then find a creative loophole by convincing myself that this particular thing was basically essential. I'd block white space on my calendar and then let a meeting eat into it because saying no felt uncomfortable. I'd try the information detox and then just quickly check something that turned into 40 minutes of scrolling. That's fine. That's completely normal. These habits aren't about perfection. They've never been about perfection. They're about direction. And as long as you keep coming back to the core principle, less, not more, clarity, not complexity, intention, not reaction, you'll get better. It compounds. Slowly at first, almost imperceptibly, and then all at once. One day you'll look around and realize the overwhelm is gone, and you won't even be able to point to the exact moment it left. So if you're sitting there right now thinking, all right, this all makes sense, but where do I actually start? 11 habits is a lot. I hear you, and I don't want you to make the same mistake that got you into this mess in the first place. Don't try to start all 11 tomorrow. That's the old thinking. That's the more is better impulse. That's exactly the pattern we're breaking. Here's what I want you to do instead. One thing. Today. Just one. Open your phone. Go to your notification settings and turn off every single notification that isn't from a real human being who actually matters to you. Not the news app, not the shopping app, not the game you haven't opened in 3 weeks. Not the social media platform sending you suggestions and posts you might like. Not the email client pinging you every time a newsletter arrives. Not the food delivery app telling you about a limited time deal. Turn them off. All of them. Keep calls. Keep texts from the people you love and the people you work closely with. Everything else? Gone. It will take you 5 minutes, maybe less. And here's what's going to happen tomorrow morning. When you wake up and reach for your phone, and you will reach for it, we all do, that's not the battle we're fighting today. Instead of being slammed with that wall of notifications, that avalanche of other people's demands and algorithms fighting for your attention and companies trying to pull you into their world, you'll see almost nothing. Maybe a text from a friend, maybe a missed call from someone who matters, but not 30 things screaming at you before you've even taken a breath. And in that quiet, in that space where the noise used to be, you'll feel something you might not have felt in a very long time. You'll feel like the morning belongs to you, like the day is yours to shape, not just to survive. Like you have room, actual, physical, mental room, to decide what matters before the world tells you what's urgent. That's your first step. It's small. It's almost embarrassingly simple. 5 minutes and your phone's notification settings. But that tiny act of subtraction, removing instead of adding, is the first domino in a completely different way of living. And once it falls, the next one becomes easier, and the next after that. I remember my own first step. It wasn't profound, it wasn't cinematic. I didn't have some dramatic awakening on a mountaintop. I just cleaned off my desk, actually cleaned it, not just reorganized the mess into a different shape, and decided that tomorrow I would work on 3 things and 3 things only. That was it. And it felt so small, so insignificant, that I almost didn't count it as a real change. But that one small, almost invisible decision led to the next small decision. And that one led to another. And somewhere along the way, I honestly can't tell you exactly when, I looked up and realized I wasn't drowning anymore. The water hadn't changed, the demands of life were still there, but I had stopped adding waves, and in the stillness, I could finally see where I was going. You started this video in the before, overwhelmed, overloaded, buried under the weight of too much. You know what the after looks like now. You've seen that it's possible, not as some fantasy, not as some minimalist Instagram aesthetic, but as a practical, achievable, real-life reality. You've got the shift. Choose less, don't manage more. You've got the 11 habits that make it concrete. All that's left is the first step. And it's 5 minutes on your phone. You've got this. I know you do. Not because I'm trying to hype you up, because you're still here. And that tells me everything. Now, everything I just shared with you, 11 habits, the mindset shift, the whole framework from start to finish. It means absolutely nothing if it stays inside this video. I need you to really sit with that for a second. The difference between people who actually change their lives and people who just watch videos about changing their lives isn't intelligence. It isn't resources. It isn't luck. It's action. One group does. The other group thinks about doing. And the truth is, the majority of people who watch this video, good people, smart people, people who genuinely want things to be different, are going to nod along, think, that was really solid content, close the tab and go right back to the same patterns by tomorrow morning. That's not a judgment, that's just what the data shows. That's human nature. But you don't have to be the majority. You watched the whole thing. You're still here, right now, in this moment. That already separates you from most. Now prove it to yourself, not to me, I don't need the proof, to yourself, that you're someone who acts on what they learn, that you're not here for entertainment, that you're here because something needs to change, and you're ready to change it. And look, if you want to take everything from this video and go deeper, go faster, build a foundation that makes all of this sustainable long-term, the Sharp Mind Blueprint was made for exactly that moment. 7 evidence-based systems to sharpen your thinking, cut through mental fog, and actually sustain changes instead of abandoning them after a week. Because here's what I've learned. Discipline without mental clarity isn't discipline. It's just grinding, and grinding always burns out. The Sharp Mind Blueprint gives you the cognitive edge to make these habits stick, not through willpower, but through sharper, cleaner thinking. The link is in the description. Take a look, see if it resonates with where you are right now. That's all I'll say about it. Now, here's what I want from you. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these 11 habits you're starting with. Not which one sounded good, not which one you found interesting, which one you are doing. Today, this week, starting now. Because I've learned something about human psychology. When you write something down, when you put it out there for other people to see, it stops being a vague intention and starts becoming a commitment. You've made a public statement. Your brain treats it differently. It becomes real. So write it down. I read every single comment, and I'll be looking for yours. And if there's someone in your life, a friend, a sibling, a coworker, your partner, someone who's been drowning in that same overwhelm, who keeps saying, "I just need to get organized," while piling more and more onto their plate, who keeps buying planners and downloading apps and watching videos and nothing ever changes, send them this. Share it with them. Sometimes all somebody needs is for one person to tell them, "Hey, it's not you, it's the excess, and there's a way out." Be that person for someone. If this kind of no-fluff, practical content makes sense for your life, hit subscribe. Every single week, I break down strategies for simplifying your life and sharpening your mind. No hype, no empty promises, no clickbait garbage, just what actually works, explained by someone who's been through it. Now go turn off those notifications. I'll see you in the next one.